Hey, welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're working on my 1951 Case LA. This is an older one compared to the last one you saw me working on, but I'm getting into the antique tractors more and more, and I'm finding deals on them left and right, more than I can buy. So today we're working on this one. I picked her up at a sale, I think last November of 22, at an auction over in Ohio called Chalker's Auction. And they have a ridiculous amount of equipment go through there in a short amount of time. Forget how many sales they have a year, but it's a consignment auction. And this one happened to be at their consignment auction in combination with their yearly antique auction. I had to put a carburetor rebuild kit in it, fuel filter, battery cables, and starter parts to get it running and driving. But went to pull the rocker cover off to adjust the valves and realized the exhaust manifold was cracked. So what we're going to do today is we're going to put that back on, and I'm going to give you a little tour of the tractor. Now, this manifold is available. Before you quit watching my video because my welds are terrible, nickel rod on thin cast iron is hard to do from everybody I've talked to. If you are a skilled welder with this kind of material, I'm pretty good running regular rod on regular steel bars and angle and fabbing stuff up, but this is a little bit different. So if you're an expert in that, let me know how you do it, because I had a tough time getting this to work. There are these little tubes like this that go in here for the intake and exhaust. Whoever put this together the last time crunched these up in there, and it caused these two ports to warp in and crack here and split out, and crack here and split out, and then there was a funky little thin spot there that cracked out too. So I ground these up. My dad welded a little bit on them, decided that I should try because he was having a hard time with it. I played with the settings, didn't do what the rod told me to do in the box, and it came out a little bit better. It's not pretty though. And I built these up a little bit so they're even with these other ports, because they were kind of tipped in, so it was leaking here, and then leaking through all these cracks. And I think the intakes weren't hitting the head the whole way, because I could never get, like, one day I would tune the carb and it would be fine, and the next day I'd go to run it and it's like the screws were like 5 turns off where they should have been to get it to run right. So I think it was getting a bad air mixture from leaky gaskets. So we got new gaskets here. We got high heat copper silicone we're going to slap on there, and we're going to use the original clamps and stuff and clamp it back on there, and hopefully she'll run good, better than before. Oh, and I had to do oil change because the oil had like very, very thick sludge in the bottom of it. I'll add that in here. I filmed that a couple weeks ago, but it'll still be good to see. I did plug wires on it because I had some sketchy plug wires when I bought it. I put spark plugs in it, and it runs pretty good. I don't know if it makes oil pressure or not, but it wasn't knocking, so it's probably okay for now. I can tell you it's a 51 because the serial tag up here on the dash on this arrow of case stuff, so it starts with a 5.5. So you subtract 4 from that 5.5 to get you 51. My brother's Case SO, which is like a S standard, but with lower seat and steering wheel and stuff like that. It's an Orchard Vineyard special. It says 5.3 on it, so it's a 49. First two digits are 5.3, so you subtract 4. That gets you to 49. It says it's a little earlier. I got mismatched tires on it. I put these single ribs on it off a combine we had. Help it steer a little better because she's heavy, and the power steering, well, takes all the power you got to steer. Holds like 15 gallons of antifreeze, 15 quarts of oil. I put some detergent additive in there to help clean up all the sludge that was in there, and I'll change the oil after a few hours of running it hard and get her ready for pulling season this summer. And she needs some paint. All of the sheet metal's really good on it except for right there where the exhaust was. So if you have any ideas on the best way to deal with that, I'd love to hear them, because my first thought was, well, put a patch behind it, bond to it smooth. Well, right next to that giant straight pipe, it's going to get hot. And it has been getting hot previously, as you can tell. And I'm still torn between painting an original orange or doing the hood, grill, and fuel tank Desert Sunset like that cowling there. I think it would look like a 600, and it's not a 600 as much as I want it to be. But I'll let you guys give me some advice on what you think I should do there. So I got to clean all the slag out of this from welding on it. Dust these up a little bit with sandpaper maybe. Get the gasket to stick good because these ones are still a little dirty. And I'll get my clamps cleaned up and we'll get that all back together today. Lovely. Oh, and it had a fram in it too. So great. Oh, yes. That's what we like to see. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. All kinds of crunchies up in there and goopy stuff down there. Oh, it's stringy. Yuck. Your carburetor might have a float, but does your oil pan have a float? A little bit better now, huh? You can actually see the bottom of the pan now. Now the reason I did not buy a new manifold for $1,045 is old tractor. Okay. Don't know any history on it. I just know it belonged to a collector up in New York along with a whole bunch of other miscellaneous case tractors and a few weird Moline propanes and Massey propanes and stuff like that. And a weird David Brown that I also bought, but we'll get to that later in a later video. $1,000 to spend on a manifold when I can spend $100 in welding rod, silicone, and gaskets and make an old manifold work? Probably. Why not try anyway? I mean, it's worth a shot, at least I would say. And if not, I can probably find a used one down at Charlie Berg's in Butler for much less than $1,000. And being that this is a toy, sort of, I mean, it's a real tractor, obviously, but I want these to seal really well because I was having issues with that. It's going to get used for tractor pulling. It's not like I depend on this tractor for my livelihood in farming. It's a big gasoline hog pulling tractor that I may do some farm work with here and there if I get the hydraulics to work. I'll probably throw a disc on it and play with it because it's fun. So it's not worth it to me anyway to spend $1,000 for a new part on a questionable tractor that I'm not going to be using a ton. It just doesn't make sense to me. And if I can make my old manifold work with just gaskets and silicone, why would I not at least try and save myself $900 if it works? And if I get a used manifold from a junkyard somewhere, I'm still probably saving myself $500. And that means I can buy more tractors, right? That's what we're after here. Having tractors to play with, right? I got these great big clamps I got to clean up while this silicone starts to set up. I wanted to get kind of tacky and get a little skin on it, and then I'll clamp the manifold on with Dad's help because it's only got 2 of the 6 tubular dowels, I guess you'd call them if you're in a mold shop or a die shop like I work in. But they're just kind of an elongated piece of exhaust pipe with a notch cut in them or slot cut in them. So they kind of snap in there like a roll pin, and they help you align the manifold on there, and they help it seal. It originally had 6. I made 2 intake ones, and because that exhaust manifold was so rough, it was going to be hard to get the exhaust ones to line up again. So using just the 2 intake ones because they're clean, and lots of exhaust silicone because it'll probably work. It has better odds of working. I'm going to get these clamps cleaned up, and we'll get this manifold on here tonight. Got to put the air box back on. Got to put new oil in it because it was pretty sludgy, just like the engine oil, just not quite as bad. Get my big old carburetor put back on there. That thing holds a lot of gas. That's a size 13 boot. That's the carburetor. And maybe we'll get her running tonight too. I got lots of other things I can do to it, but for now, let's get it running, driving, and try to get it tuned in so it'll run good. Because Dad's working on building corn planters and trying to get this David Brown 900 running, which has been a 3-year process, and it still won't start with a rebuilt injector pump, rebuilt motor, and numerous other updates and modifications. And Dad's got to do some welding on his pickup, so we got to get this out of here so he can weld on his pickup. So Dad helped me set the manifold on. I got the clamps tightened up most of the way. You don't want them super tight because you could crush this manifold because it's kind of thin and old and brittle. And it's got to be able to heat and cool because a big piece of iron like this is going to grow substantially more than you would imagine in heating and cooling of starting and stopping the motor. I don't know the actual numbers for thermal expansion, but I know it's quite a bit being a tool maker and having to deal with parts moving a couple thousandths on you if you get them real warm, or on some parts even a couple 10,000ths is a lot when you only have a few tenths tolerance on your parts. So we got those. The intake I think is supposed to be done separately, but I was not going to try to get these bolts back here undone because they're rather crunchy looking, and these bolts out here look really nice. So I'm just going to clamp down on the intakes out here with these nice square studs. Square head stud, square head bolt. I'm not sure what exactly they are. They're kind of a weird part. I'm not sure what size they're supposed to be either. 1/2 inch, 9/16. They're kind of in the middle. We'll get that tightened up, and then we'll throw our air box and our carb and all that good stuff back on, and you guys will get to hear her run for the first time in YouTube history on my channel. But if you head over to my friend's channel, I will link it in the description, and he has a video of me running this before we did the exhaust work and the oil change and all this other stuff. And shout out to him for filming that. He does some pretty good stuff, so hop over there and check out his channel and what he's got going on. Sorry guys that this video is not what you were expecting. We haven't had a chance to go work on the mystery tractor that we talked about in the last video. I have not been able to go over with that and work on it because the weather's been not real great here, and we would feel bad showing up to a guy's house to work on a tractor for an hour and leaving because it's like 10 degrees out and 15-mile-an-hour wind up and up. That's just not a great thing to do for a guy who's helping us get this tractor going. So in the last video I gave you a hint that it had a 504 turbo case in it. This video's hint is it has 4-wheel drive. So leave what you think it is in the comments, and I look forward to seeing what you guys have to say. Got her all buttoned up here except for the hood at the moment. We're going to leave that off so she can, till she can come back in and get painted up after you guys tell me what paint scheme we're doing. So 2 options, either the regular dark reddish orange like a DC or VAC or a 500 diesel or anything of that era, or paint it up like a 600 or a 30 series with tan grill, radiator top, gas tank hood like that, and not paint the orange. I think it'd look better in orange, but my dad seems to think it would look better in sunset. I like the sunset, but I also like the original LA orange, and we don't have anything that's painted up nice in that orange currently. So I'll let you guys decide on that. I'm going to get it fired up here, get the battery connected, and tune the carburetor because I guarantee it's going to need some adjustments because it should have better sealing going in the intake manifold now. Let's see if she'll fire up nice and easy for us here. I bet she will because it's warm and it starts good even when it's cold. I'm not sure about timing on this because my Magneto advanced retard doesn't seem to do anything even though it moves. The battery cable is going to cook instead. And it's going to cook again. Now it's not going to do anything. I need to put a new end on this one. It's the old brass end. That should do it. Nope. Snap, crackle, pop is bad for batteries and also not great for breakfast either. There's so many healthier things to eat for breakfast. Alright. Come on now. Behave yourself for the camera. Come on. Okay, she's going to need some adjustments right off the bat, just to get her to start. But I kind of expected that. Sounds a lot different already though. There's her. That'd be blow it up, run away. That's idle. That's doing what it needs to do. The choke is moving. This one's supposed to go in the whole way and out 2 turns, but it took way more turns to get it to run good than that. Same with the other screw. At least that's what the kit said. In, half, 1, half, 2. This one wasn't as much. It actually had to go in some. So out 1, half. I'll do 1 1/2 and 2. And I'll make sure. Okay, we do have gas through there. I had trouble when I first did the carburetor on it, getting it to cycle gas through that filter. I had to open that vent on the carburetor. For the drain, I guess. Now it should be a little bit better. Closer. Why is it smoking from down there? That's new. Oh, my starter button's smoking. That's a new one. Give her some throttle.